once. So what's your name, your degree, the year you're in, your campaign colour and your brand?
My name is Hassan.
Yeah.
I'm a second year student studying politics and economics as a Bachelor of Arts.
Perfect. And what is your campaign colour?
My campaign color is yellow.
Right. And how are you feeling going into this campaign so far?
I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling energized and motivated.
And what motivated you to run for president?
Well, firstly, most of the students I know or that I've talked to, they're like, they think the SRC is some kind of random useless thing that happens at uni. But I think it's very important because first of all, obviously, a lot of our student funding goes here, and second of all, like they do great things that students should be aware of. I'm trying to get that to everybody, basically.
Okay. Can you name your 3 most important policy commitments?
Yeah, my first policy commitment is trying to push for internships for all students. Second policy would be to fix the Octa Verify. And third policy is concession cards for international students.
Thank you. All right. Are you a member of a political party or a political organization?
No.
Independent?
Yep.
Can you describe your own politics briefly?
My politics are unaligned. What I want to do in politics is basically to represent the student whole in general, instead of how the SRC works right now. By, for example, to be president, you need 1,000 votes, which is like 2% of the whole university student body, which I don't think it's very good or representative of what the students want. And that's why I think there's a divide between students and the SRC.
In your campaign policy, you said that there's toxic politics in the SRC. Can you delve into that a little bit?
So, like, for example, toxic politics isn't like them just fighting straight up each other, or like, for example, people just leaving and not negotiating these quorums, like destroying a quorum and just leaving, and the SRC can't do anything basically. So that's a toxic kind of behavior rather than more, I wouldn't say, how would I say this, more collaborative behavior.
Yeah. Okay. And before you mentioned there was a low vote turnout, it was only 1,000 votes.
Yeah.
So what would you do to increase this turnout?
So what I'll do is, while campaigning, I want to push for the vote of everybody rather than like, oh, vote for me. I want to say, please just vote, whoever you vote.
How are you going to do that?
First of all, obviously social media, and second of all, our campaign material would be more so to encourage people to vote rather than just vote for us.
What's your campaign material going to look like?
It's going to be like most campaign material, but obviously without like just saying, oh, vote for me. It'll say like, vote for the universe, stuff like that.
Vote for the what's the universe?
Vote for SRC.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, and
obviously it will also state like the statistics of how many people are voting and why there's like a divide between SRC and try to motivate people to vote more.
Can you define the primary roles of the SRC?
Yeah, so the primary role of the SRC is a political organization that you need to represent the students. Obviously, it also has first of all, one of its major things are to fight against the university, what students think are wrong. And second of all is to build a better student service, like more as in not just political, but more so stuff that students in general don't or aren't very satisfied with.
Can you tell us about some of the services that the SRC provides?
Yeah, they have caseworkers and they have legal workers. They also give $50 loans if you're in trouble.
And what would you say is a particularly successful campaign that the SRC has run over the past few years?
Obviously, the Palestine movement is very successful, as in Obviously, first of all, gathering attention, and second of all, like even last week, that was like a national thing, not just for use in internal.
Okay, what do you think current and past factions of the SRC have been silent on?
Addressing, for example, the politics that is going to change when AI comes in. For example, right now, obviously the job market isn't really looking too good with all the AI replacing minor roles. So that's why I wanted to do the the internship initiative, where I'm trying to get the university to offer internships for all students. So to be able to go to that senior level position, while like most of it right now, the AI is replacing entry level jobs. So if you have experience, already have an internship, you can go a bit higher.
And what makes you qualified to be SRC president?
I think me not being from the SRC in general is a good qualification, because right now the SRC in itself, like me not having experience with the failure of the SRC, as I like to put it, because only 2% of the population is needed to be a president. I don't think that's a very good SRC to have experience in.
Do you think your experience outside the SRC translates well into this regard?
Yeah, I think it does, because obviously managing people, managing finance, it's going to be relatively similar. And also me trying to do and build innovative programs at uni is not something a normal politician could do without an experience in building crazy ideas.
Have you worked in like finance or a leadership position before?
Yeah, before coming to uni in Uzbekistan, where I'm from, I was the assistant director at a conglomerate.
What did you do?
So I was the assistant director of quality control and inspection. So I would decide on what products get displayed at stores and such.
Sure. What relationships have you cultivated in your time at university that you can bring into your role as president?
Obviously, talking with a lot of students, having a good network in university, that is going to be very useful from obviously all sorts of backgrounds and all sorts of socioeconomic statuses, rather than some president that represents a faction, say a student president that is voted by a majority and listens to the majority and not a faction. Is very useful, I'd say.
And the SRC presidency is a tremendous commitment, so how will you manage your time?
How do I manage my time? Obviously, it would be a very tightly made schedule, first of all.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that because I still have uni going on, so I just balance them both.
Yeah, because past presidents have described this as a full-time job.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'll struggle, to be honest, because I'm really, like, even back when I used to work, I would work on multiple stuff. For example, I'll work on social media and work. And for example, I have also experience in game development. For example, I'll do all those things at once, and to a very not like a good degree, rather than just like a hobby, so in a professional degree.
And the SRC president sits on several committees. So how will you approach engaging with these committees and management in general?
So I'll be very rational, very direct. Obviously, there are stuff where you have to push for something that is, in their eyes, achievable, but I'll try to be realistic with them.
how will you be working with various collectives given the active role they play in drawing in people from outside the SRC?
I'll be very active with them. I think obviously I want to make like a united use of sorts, so I'll work with everybody and collaborate with anyone. I'm not gonna discriminate against anybody, or like as my responsibility is to the students, and they are students, so I don't see anything. I don't see a problem with working with anybody.
How do you see yourself collaborating with them?
Obviously, listening to their issues, bringing them up, negotiating between them, because obviously not all the collectives are very in line with each other.
Well, speaking of, how will you approach resolving factional conflicts? Do you have any concrete examples of your skill in this regard?
So, conflict is very interesting. Obviously, there are always something to agree upon, but it's just it takes time and effort to reach it. My past experiences with dealing with this is obviously when I was working back in my country. Some companies wouldn't have required certifications or standards and such, and I would have to negotiate with them and obviously try to push for them to get said certifications because they are like optional, but to have a high quality of service, so push it.
And as well, you want to create a unity cabinet with the most talented students.
Yeah.
So like, how will you do this? What does it look like? And who are these talented students that you're talking about?
Okay, so obviously the cabinet will be, when I meant cabinet, I meant like vice president and such, but they will be elected by the committee. So what I meant there is more of I'll try to balance all their interests because they will have factional ties and have a unity cabinet.
Have you already been talking to some of these factions?
Yeah, I have.
Such as?
I think, let me see. Let me pull one up. So I was talking with the restoration partner for the city.
Anyone else?
Not too active currently, but before the election period starts, obviously we're going to actively reach out to all, and like we're open to anybody reaching out to us.
Right, so your flagship program, Youth at Advantage, aims to guarantee that every student, including internationals, gets a paid and career-relevant internship before they graduate.
Yeah.
So how feasible do you think the university is to be able to guarantee 40,000 jobs across so many different industries?
Yeah, obviously, first of all, University of Sydney in Australia has a huge alumni network. Second of all, we have way more than enough funding. We have 500 million in surplus this year, which is crazy. Second of all, the business schools, what do they call it? Placement program, who's very successful at doing this. Obviously, it will be more like people don't have to get the internship, but if they wish, they will get it. It will be a placement of sorts.
Okay, so you want placements for everybody?
Yeah.
In every single degree?
Yeah.
Well, look,
obviously, it is very, very, how do we put this?
Difficult?
Yeah, it's difficult, but I think if we lobby the university enough, it is an achievable outcome.
we're going on this topic about lobbying. Obviously, how do you say this? You talk about the $500 million surplus, which is definitely true and quite absurd, but the university has always pushed back saying that the surplus is locked up in, for example, philanthropy. How would you be countering this?
So, obviously, look, those investments were given to the university to improve the university and its prestige of sorts. If you offer students this opportunity by unlocking that investment and philanthropy, you will achieve what the philanthropies were meant for, basically.
Talk about a lobbying approach in this regard.
Yeah.
There have been quite a lot of things that various student organizations have been lobbying for.
Yeah.
Are you confident that this lobbying is going to be successful?
I think I'd like to believe it will, but realistically, I think we can achieve some sort of placement guarantee for students, which is like it's better than nothing. But obviously, my enthusiastic side would like to believe that it is possible.
Mm. And so, there's a lot of degrees in which there is a required placement categories, right? How would this be fitting into these programs? And a lot of these, they require students to go out and get it themselves.
Yeah.
Most people do.
Yeah.
How would how would the program interface with this?
I think it perfectly fits in if the university offers these placements. Students don't have to spend their time looking for these placements to begin.
And specifically for this campaign, what do you think it's going to look like on the ground for students when they're pushing for this at the university level?
The campaign of pushing for placements.
Mm.
First of all, negotiating with university leadership. That is, I think, the main point. Obviously, getting students on the ground and protesting, like not protesting, but like asking for it together in a group, for example, would always have some more pressure on the uni, but mostly I think it would be high-level talks with university management.
So what is your relationship with the NTEU?
NTEU?
National Tertiary Education. Have you heard of it?
No, not really.
That's okay. You'll end up developing one.
Yeah. Now look, a lot of these positions in academic boards and such, I think it's very easily learnable and like acquirable when you become the president. So you will obviously develop those relations when you're there.
And what will your approach be during enterprise bargaining next year?
What exactly is that?
So enterprise bargaining is next year. We're going to begin. So that was one of the quiz questions.
Mm-hmm.
When does the university seeking enterprise bargaining period start again? That's going to start again next year.
Mm-hmm.
Staff have signed an enterprise agreement that lasts until 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, there will be the process by which a new agreement is negotiated for staff conditions, pay, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
The SRC has traditionally played a role in supporting staff. What do you envision that support to look like?
For obviously advocating for them too. That'll be at the high level with the Vice Chancellor and whatnot.
Alright, and you've talked about campaigns that you've worked on, like concession cards for international students. So can you tell us about your involvement in them thus far? Like, have you been involved in the campaigning for it at all?
No.
You haven't?
I haven't said that. Did I say that?
No, I'm asking because you said you talked about in your policy statement.
I will push for
you
those.
will push for that, but you haven't yet.
No.
Okay. How would you endeavour to make the SRC more visible?
Yeah, I think in the end of the day, since most of the students are on social media, I think we need a way more heavy presence in social media to show what the SRC does and how it is important for them, obviously. So, second of all, by obviously the campaign in general will promote the visibility of the SRC in general.
Okay. And you mentioned that you've built games before.
Yeah.
And you have experience in digital engagement. However, one of the difficult things the SRC has had to do is turn simple engagement into people who can be on the ground, like in stalls, talking to people.
Yeah.
So do you think this translates?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it is about your ability to influence people to do stuff. If you have a really good really good. Like obviously, if you do a good amount of social media, not everyone there is going to be people who are going to be on the ground. It's always going to be a percentage of them. So being visible to everybody and getting the recognition it needs, it will find the people that want to come and work on the ground for the SRC.
And like, have you had like experience? Is there anything to show for that you've done where you've like influenced people in any way?
So, for example, it's going to be vague, but where I used to work, there's this standard that it's very optional, but through negotiation and also providing visibility of the problem and what is happening to it, I was able to get that become a industry standard of sorts.
Okay.
Obviously, look, it was also part like if some person starts doing it, the other people have the competitive urge to also compete with them by having that same standard. But
yeah. Sorry, just circling back
Yeah.
to the like, say for example, the concession card campaign.
Yeah.
Why haven't you been a part of the campaigns yet? Why are you waiting to be president to do something?
To be honest, I wasn't really active in student politics until recently.
Okay.
So after discovering, I had this weird loophole moment of just student politics in general, and then I got really into it. So now I've been really starting to be active of sorts.
When did you get into it?
Like it's the start of this semester.
Okay.
Yeah, I started looking into like what the SRC is and who does what.
Okay, sure. And all right, we've got our last couple questions now. So we've got a fun one. If you were a frog, what color would you be?
Frog man. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. A frog. What's up with frog? It's a deep one. Very deep person. Thinking about good color.
What about your campaign color?
That's very basic. You gotta think
Okay.
beyond basic. It's like you don't want to be a frog, but like if you are a frog, what color would you be? You know?
Yeah.
What's the best color to be a frog? Teal.
Teal. Okay.
Yeah.
And were there any final words you would like to say?
Final words. I encourage people to be active in student politics and to vote in the SRC elections.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.